into another edition of Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles from Yay, Alabama. I'm Lance Taylor from The Next Round, right here on Cover Crimson. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It's where we talk bourbon and we talk Alabama basketball and football. Unfortunately, look, this is the way it ends for 67 teams. Alabama makes it to an Elite Eight. Nate Oats said before the tournament, anything short of a Final Four. Heading to San Antonio is a disappointment. I mean, when you look back in retrospect, and we'll get to both games that we saw over the weekend that you were up in Newark for, both BYU and the Duke game, but coming into this season, what was your expectation? Did they live up to expectations? Did they leave a little out there?
Yeah, so I disagreed with Nate a couple weeks ago. I think we talked about it on the show that I said, listen, if you've only ever been to 2 Elite Eights in your program's history, getting back there, I don't say you could call that a failure, which is the opposite of success. But there was a lot of expectations for this team. They were, by some publications, preseason ranked number 1. At worst, they were 2. I don't think anyone sort of saw what the SEC was going to become and what it did, and getting, 4 teams to the Sweet 16, is that what it was? Or
no, it was more than Sweet 16.
4 in the Elite Eight.
4 in the 8,
That's what I'm thinking of. So, look, the SEC was better than we thought it would be. I think Alabama never really fully realized its ceiling. I think some injuries had something to do with that. Losing Latrell Wrightsell, who was at worst your second best shooter on the team. Alabama had trouble knocking down the 3 with consistency. Although against BYU, they did not have trouble knocking down the 3.
Bama and Bourbon. So today we are taking a look at the Benchmark Foolproof. We had a variety of Benchmark two months ago. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey bottled the same proof that it enters the barrel, bold and robust, 125 proof whiskey. They say it's meant to be sipped and savored. I don't think you're going to chug 125 proof.
Oof.
This is the strongest proof-wise I have had since I've had Booker's.
I think we did a 129 on the show before, didn't we?
Did we? I don't know. 125 is kicking it up there. So, again, backstory on Benchmark if you missed episode earlier this year. This is in a pretty good family, right?
Yeah, this is Buffalo Trace, and essentially it is, I don't know about the specific one, Foolproof, but Benchmark is basically Buffalo Trace that's just been aged less.
I don't feel 125.
Yeah.
Now, as it creeps to the back of the throat.
On the first taste, I thought it was going to immediately light me up. It did not, but as it sat and expanded, and then but it settles nicely. It's a good taste.
Look, they say deep brown sugar and chocolate on the nose, caramel and baking spice on the palate. Finish is long and rich. I do agree with that. I mean, this is a good sipping whiskey. We're full-hearted here. I don't know. It's got a good burn to it. That is
as it first goes down, it is spicy, but the way it settles is really nice.
Benchmark Bonded, the Foolproof edition right there. Oh, actually, we will do the Bonded when we, I don't know, when we reconvene. I think it's not until August.
That's right.
Yeah,
last show.
We'll see what happens. This is probably the last show for a while on Bama and Bourbon, but make sure you like, subscribe, share this with everybody right here on Cover Crimson. Always brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag. Very important. Use that code NEXTROUND. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You're playing the Final Four this weekend. Championship game on Monday. Player props, sides, totals, Major League Baseball, NBA. It's all out there and available right now. Code NEXTROUND. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. mybookie.ag. I'll tell you a little bit about beverage placement, package a little bit. Yay, Alabama, we'll get to all that. But going back, I was out of town.
Yep.
Such a pain in the ass. I mean, it's a lot better than the alternatives used to be, but watching a game on your phone is tough.
It's not the full experience.
Yeah, I don't feel like I missed a lot because Alabama goes out and they hit 25 of 51 behind the arc.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were 10 of 15 at halftime. I think it was Barkley, Clark Kellogg. All those guys were like, there is no way the shooting can continue, and you would kind of agree, and they were even better in the second half.
They made 12 threes in the first half, 13 in the second. And it was incredible. And the crazy part is...
And you were in the crowd, right?
I was sitting courtside.
Okay.
My seats were incredible.
So did it get just so redundant? People were like, my God, what is going on
There was
here?
one point in the second half where they hit 2 or 3 in a row where I literally, you almost throw up your hands like one of the Jordan moments.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And Mark had a couple that rimmed out. He could have easily had 12 three-pointers. It was one of the best shooting performances I have ever seen. It's the best three-point shooting performance in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, 35 years with the three-point shot available, and to have the best mark ever, and there's what, 67 or 68 games a year? Forgot how that math works.
And was it 90 Loyola Marymount?
Yeah, Jeff
set the
Fry.
record. Guess what? The three-point line is further back today than it was then. So they shot more and made more than they did back in 90.
Well, and I think like Aiden Holloway hitting 6, Chris Youngblood hitting 5. Those are performances we don't talk about because Sears was that good.
It was legendary. I know we're going to get to the Duke game. I wish it had ended a little better for him, but we've talked about it on this show. I know you guys have probably discussed it on the next round. Best college basketball player Alabama has had in this program in terms of accolades.
Yeah, I would agree. And I watching on the phone that BYU game, I was like, I think this solidifies it. And then the very next game against Duke, he really struggled. He struggled to get a shot off.
And the entire Alabama team.
Yeah. But Alabama, just where this program is, and Nate talked about this after the game. Our expectation is so different just because of where we are right now, and to go to back-to-back Elite Eights.
Elite company.
I mean, that really is.
Oh, I talked to Greg Byrne about this in the team hotel on Sunday before we flew back. When you think about the last 3 years of Alabama basketball, number 1 overall seed 3 years ago. Now they get bounced in the Sweet 16 by a San Diego State team that went.
They played for the national championship.
Goes on and plays for the national
championship. They played Monday night against UConn.
Okay, the following year, not as good. A down season, ends up in a Final Four run. And this year, a lot of expectations. I think some ways lived up to them, some ways did not. Ends in an Elite Eight run. And we'll see where eventually that ends up, that this Duke team ends up. But you lose, 3 years ago, you lose to a team that loses in the championship game. 2 years ago, or last year, you lose to the team that wins it all, right, in UConn. And this year, a Duke team that could very well.
They're your favorite. They're even money right now to win the next 2 games.
I think anybody would take. It's the greatest run in Alabama's history. All due respect to Coach Sanderson, who I know you guys are close with. It's the best period of Alabama basketball ever. The university, the board of trustees, the president, Greg Byrne have made a commitment to Nate Oats. They kept him away from Kentucky last year. They've secured a new basketball practice facility. They've given him NIL assets to deploy rather. So I think the university's made a commitment, and it's a good time to be. I think Alabama's place among the sport is pretty high right now.
Yeah, look, I know we're a microwave society in the moment, but this is not hyperbolic. I mean, I think this is the best coach. No, again, no disrespect to Wimp.
None.
Or
to CM Newton.
Yeah.
Any of them.
And to all the great players. I mean, line them up. Buck Johnson, T.R. Dunn,
Robert
Leon Douglas,
Latrell Sprewell, Hollywood Robinson.
Antonio McDyess. I mean, all those guys, the best entirety of that Alabama career has got to be Mark Sears. Back-to-back All-American.
I completely agree. Back-to-back consensus first-team All-American. He's just had a great career, and it wasn't. I don't think it was as consistent a year this year it was last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because you had the Oregons and the LSUs and even the Duke games, and you just didn't see those inconsistencies, or at least the highs to the lows.
Yeah, but when his highs were high, he was the best player on the floor, and I'll always remember that Thursday night in Newark, because it was pretty incredible watching him knock down 2 3-pointers.
Bama and Bourbon always brought to you by the Beverage Place, located next to the PGA Superstore right there on Highway 280. Pink Package, located across from the Target next to Arby's on Highway 280. One-stop shops, liquor, beer, wines, seltzers, cigars, ice, even fresh lemons and limes. They open early, they close late. Get in, see Chan, JJ. We appreciate all of the product they bring right now. We're talking about the Benchmark Foolproof Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 125 proof. Alabama fans probably needed this on Saturday night because
that was a rough watch.
People, I think we slept on Duke a little bit. I thought they were really good in season, and then you're like, well, damn, is the ACC that bad? Because they absolutely ran through the ACC. But what they did defensively to hold that Alabama team to 65 points, you were there, you saw them, you saw the length, you saw just, the effort defensively. I give John Shire a lot of credit, man. He has picked up right where Krzyzewski left off, and it's been seamless.
I thought they had a tremendous defensive game plan. Put Cooper Flag on LeBaron Philon or on Aiden, which seems like a mismatch, but they want to funnel you inside because they got rim protectors. They got a 7-footer inside.
Just because he is a rim protector, still so raw offensively, dude's going to be a lottery guy.
And look, so they were extending the defense. They were guarding extremely close, and so they didn't care if they got beat off the dribble inside because they have a rim protector. So it really limits what Alabama can do in terms of inside-out game. You can't drive inside and then kick it. And when they did get a shot, it was a contested shot. Shots at the rim were very difficult to come by.
Yeah, I hate to say this about Sears because, one of the problems we have when it comes to great college basketball players or even in college football, and if it doesn't translate to the next level, we don't remember them as well as we should. Yeah. I think Sears, based on what you saw Saturday night, is probably going to have a difficult road in the league.
Probably. And he always was going to because he's a little smaller.
5'11". That's just kind of the light competition he's going to see night in, night out. And it's going to be difficult for him to get his shots off, and that's one of the reasons there aren't 5'11" guys in the NBA.
There are. But he's got so many good things that he can do. I think he can earn a living playing professional basketball.
I agree.
Is that G League? Is that overseas? Who knows? But I want to also highlight a guy that did start off his career at Alabama, who I thought, interviewing him in the locker room after the game, his 2 years at Alabama meant an awful lot to him. And I thought at times his game was up and down, but in terms of toughness, I don't know that there's anyone tougher on the floor than Grant Nelson.
And he's one of those guys that if Alabama was going to win a championship, he was going to have to play at that level that he's capable of. But you're right. There were some inconsistencies in the game.
And I think and he's not going to make excuses. I think he's dealt with some injuries. I don't think he's been 100% for quite some time. Heck, he had to come back against, Robert Morris coming off the bench to rescue them in that game.
Oh, look, at his best, he was Dalton Connect to me.
And look, he's got some of the greatest individual moments in Alabama history. They lose in the Final Four last year, but he posterized that UConn dude on a dunk. First overall pick comes at the rim on Grant, and Grant puts him on the floor on a clean block. Grant's had a highlight.
That's probably the highlight moment of the night for Alabama.
You start thinking about individual moments that will be on highlight videos, and some of them came in losses. Grant Nelson authored a few of them.
So Duke shoots 53%. They've won 15 consecutive games. They're favored. It's gone up to 5 against Houston. If they win that game, they will be favored against either Florida or Auburn. But, one of the things, not only how they defended Alabama, but out-rebounding Alabama by double digits. That's hard to do. This is a really good Alabama team on the boards.
They are. Duke's size, unless you have seen them up close, is tough to – because Alabama's a big team too.
Yeah.
But they just got length in terms of arm length, in terms of thickness on some of those guys, and they're all athletic. And it was really impressive to watch them. Leaving the floor, I thought – heading into Newark, I thought the best team I had seen this season was Florida.
Yeah.
If Duke plays like that defensively, they'll be tough to beat.
Yeah.
They'll really be tough to beat.
Well, and it's going to be interesting because Walter Clayton, a bigger version of Sears at 6'3". How difficult is it going to be for him to get those quality shots? Now, sometimes Clayton doesn't need a good look. Hell, the dude throws it up and just...
The close of that game was incredible.
I still cannot believe Texas Tech was not able... If they hit the one-on-ones, front end of those, I think they go on and they win that game. That was a tough loss. Tell us about this perfect transition, because I want to get into what this roster, at least we think it might look like, and in order to be able to keep some of these guys and go into the portal and get some bigger names... Alabama is critical for the Alabama fan.
It is. We need more true value NIL opportunities, and to provide those, the best way to do it is to get a membership at yay-alabama.com. You got behind-the-scenes footage. You got first exclusive. You're getting some breaking news. Because I think it's about to change, particularly for basketball because of revenue sharing. Everyone's going to be investing in now. What happens with supply and demand? There's a limited supply because there are more people want the same thing, the price goes up, right? So, I think it's going to be very intriguing across the board.
We heard some numbers, $2.5 to $3 million for the top end of the top end.
Which Alabama's just not like, I don't handle the financials. Let me say this first. I have never had a look at our books, and I could put a hand on a Bible. You can hook me up to a lie detector. I have not seen any contract. I have not seen our books. I can tell you with certainty that Alabama's not going to pay $2 or $3 million.
Well, does that change though? We all don't know what's coming down the pipe July 1st when you've got
revenue sharing.
Yeah, revenue share coming in. The valuation is going to take place. There's a lot of changes that are going to be made in this space, and you know, when BYU goes out and the, what's the kid's name?
AJ DeMasta.
Yeah. And Alabama was the Final Four.
By the way, he was there.
Was he?
Saw the 25 threes in person.
Does he look like a guy that is I mean, look, and these guys can be undersized, obviously, in basketball, but does he look like a guy that is ready to roll out there and be dominant?
I was really impressed with BYU's season. I think the coach will know how to use him. I think he's going to have a pretty good.
I mean, Kevin Young looks like, after 1 year at BYU, real deal there.
But no, in terms of the numbers I was throwing around,
I mean, like,
who knows if they're real or not. I think, you know, you got, who's the Tom Crean's out there saying that it's a mil 5 for a point guard, it's a mil 5 for a forward. Some schools maybe, and maybe people overpay. I don't know, especially in the SEC. It may be different in other schools, but especially in the ACC, if you do not keep football healthy, it destroys the whole thing. It destroys the whole thing. You have to keep football healthy, so football has to get the lion's share of revenue sharing. In all due respect to every other sport out there, it's not college football, particularly in the South. So if your football program goes south, guess what your overall budget in athletics does? It goes down too. So you got to keep football healthy. Obviously, Alabama's made a tremendous financial promise to the basketball program. That's not going to go away, but other schools now are going to up their game, and so when there is supply and demand issues, prices go up. We live it every day in every facet of our life. We see it in gas and eggs and milk, right? And so I suspect it will be the same in talent, with more schools now having more to spend because of revenue sharing.
Not only Yay Alabama, also our friends at mybookie.ag. Very important tournament time. We're winding down, but you've got 2 big games on Saturday. Obviously, National Championship on Monday. Use that code NEXTROUND. Very important. Code NEXTROUND, 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 at mybookie.ag. So we know Grant, Clifford, Sears, all gone.
Yep.
LeBaron Philon, this is the guy that is projected if somebody is going to be drafted from Alabama. And I've seen Sears in a couple of mock drafts, but Philon is a late first, early second.
Yeah.
If you're advising Philon.
If I'm the advisor for Philon and I don't have a guaranteed roster spot, which if you go late first, early second, you're probably not going to be guaranteed a roster spot.
Yeah, well, first you would be, because you got a guaranteed contract. Second, you would not be. And I think he's more second. I don't know about you.
I think he can improve with Mark gone. Look, Alabama's going to need a primary ball handler, and I love Aiden Holloway. That's not Aiden. Not knocking Aiden's handles. I'm just saying his stature.
You're right.
He's not as thick as Mark. He's going to be able to get off, be pushed off his spot more. I don't think he's going to get in the lane as easily to create inside-outside game for Alabama. So I see him as an off-ball guard. I think LeBaron can be that. And so even at 6'3", 6'4", listed at, maybe taller. So I could see him as an advisor saying, look, if Alabama's giving you X amount of guaranteed, you can come back and prove your draft stock and get one of those, because he didn't have the best second half of the season.
No, not at all.
Even though but
when you look at just
he led Alabama scoring versus Duke, I think.
Pure skill set translating to the next
100%.
level. You know, I think Mo Diabate's got a lot of potential when it comes to that,
I think
too. Those would be if I am Nate Oats, the 2 guys I'm focused the most on. And Holloway's a big part of it. I mean, he was instant offense off the bench.
And I think we got him back.
But Diabate, Aiden Sherrell's another interesting one.
I was going to throw him in there. Because there's a guy that you build around.
Well, I mean, if you're 6'11" and you can hit the perimeter shot, I think he gets more comfortable in this system next year and is even better.
I think those are the 3 you really, if you can get LeBaron back. You got Mo D, who took a huge step from year 1 to year 2. You got Aiden back going into year 2. You know, eventually you hope that Jaron takes the next step that I think his ceiling is. I think you got the rest of it. And then you go
Darian
out and
Reed.
Then you go out and fill portal needs here and there. I feel comfortable with Alabama, what they're retaining. And then it becomes, Alabama's already got publicly committed the big man from, Bucknell?
Yeah. 7-footer from Bucknell.
He's not. Look, he didn't have to be the most skilled. He's just a backup guy. He's not your starter. Aiden's your starter. So I think you need some help at 4. Obviously, with Grant leaving, I think you need an X factor / scoring guard that's going to make up for what Sears brought you. There's a kid from Jacksonville State that just went in the portal that a lot of people are after.
I mean, who would have thought Mark Sears coming from Ohio would be playing at this level? Nobody.
No, but otherwise he's not playing in Ohio.
I mean,
if everybody saw what this
Janai
was,
coming from Morehead State, I mean, there was no way these guys were going to be this good.
No, it shows you the power of development, which.
And that's why I was going to ask you, based on what we think is coming back with the roster, do you think it's a top 10 team coming into the season? I would say yes, just because I believe in Nate Oats.
That's the thing, is I think it's not the same. It's not comparable, but I do think there's a little bit of, for a long time, you knew no matter what Alabama football lost, they had Nick Saban, right? I'm not putting Nate on that pedestal, but I'm saying Nate has proven he's taken Alabama, which has a proud basketball history, but when he took it over, man, it was sputtering. And it was sputtering for a long, long time. And he took it and made it a top 10 program like that. And so I think you give him the benefit of the doubt, his style of play, his ability to recruit. And I think the one big step they made this year is he's always scheduled tough. He won a lot of those tough scheduled games this year.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if they schedule as tough next year.
Based on a team like Texas, their out-of-conference was awful, and they still get into the tournament, 6 games under 500, so I don't know why you would, but maybe it does.
I think Nate likes it, though.
Tournament tested, like Houston 3-2 to start off their non-conference.
Alabama beat Houston, by the way.
Yeah, and so did Auburn, and they're 30-1 since, so, maybe that out-of-conference, early schedule really helped build the team that Kelvin Sampson has. Okay, before we get out of here, one more time on Yay Alabama.
Yay-alabama.com. Look, for our female listeners, or if you have a wife, sister, cousin in your life, we're doing a champagne and shoulder pads. It's a female football clinic that the coaching staff is helping us put on. It's going to walk you through the ins and outs of how to put on a uniform, the diagram plays, all that inside access that you've wanted. Maybe you want to learn the game a little better if you have somebody in your life. Tickets are still on sale. They're getting close to selling out, so check it out, champagne and shoulder pads. Stuff like that is stuff that we're doing that we're really excited. The events that we put on in Newark this past weekend for our members, it's more than just here's my money, I want to get a player. Don't get me wrong, that's what it's about in the long term. But we're trying to give you as much bang for your buck as possible so you get a great experience. Look, I'm helping support my program. I have an ownership in their success, plus I'm getting some experiences that I otherwise, in a previous era of college athletics, was not able to get.
Absolute win-win. That is Yay Alabama. Again, mybookie.ag, special thanks to those guys throughout the season. Use that code, very important, next round. When you sign up, 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 back, again, at mybookie.ag. And, of course, the benchmark foolproof.
125 proof, which I feel, but it's still, I like the taste of it.
I like it, and the price point on this bottle, what, 30, 40 bucks maybe?
Not bad at all. Normally with a very high proof, it overpowers your taste buds. I'm still getting a good flavor from this while I'm also experiencing the high proof.
Won a ton of awards last year in 24. I don't know what the Gold Global Whiskey Challenge is.
We should give out one.
We should, Bama and Bourbon.
Do a PR release, Bama and Bourbon's Bourbon of the Year.
This is why this guy is in PR. I think that's a great idea. But the Gold American Whiskey Masters, if they just added the 2024 Gold Star from Bama and Bourbon,
right.
Hell, I guarantee we could get on some of this stuff.
Yeah, we could.
And Beverage Place Pink Package, Chan, JJ, we always appreciate everything they do, bringing our product to us. Make sure you stop in right off of Highway 280, both locations. Support them. It's been a fun season.
Loved it.
Successful.
Was this our third year, fourth year?
Third year, right? I think. But Kalen DeBoer is going to be a fascinating year too, but I think all in all, pretty solid year one.
We got a lot to look forward to in season 4.
Yeah, I brought this up with Todd Golden. No, not Todd Golden, John Shire in year one. He went to the round of 32, won 26 games. I think it was very similar to Kalen DeBoer. And then year 2, he goes to the Elite 8. I think Alabama fans in basketball, you get me to a college football playoff in year 2. Yep. And then in year 3, Shire's got him right on the brink of winning another national championship. Yep. We will see what happens there. But special thanks, like, subscribe. If you like bourbon, you like Alabama sports, right here on Cover Crimson, give us that thumbs up. We would appreciate it.